Hello, and welcome back to the SYSTRAcast. Today, we're going to be talking about business cases with Irineos Livadiotes and Amy Sykes, who are both in our Leeds office. Hi, both.
Hi, Tom.
Hi.
Thanks for coming on today. It's going to be really good to chat about quite an interesting topic here. Something that I've got involved with a little bit myself, but it's going to be a bit of a learning experience for me as well. So, yeah, we'll jump straight in. So, first of all, what is a business case, and what is a recent one that you've worked on? Send that one over to you, Irineos.
Yeah, so a business case is what is requested by the Department for Transport and along as other departments of the government to support the case for a scheme or a set of schemes for coming forward and receiving funding. The structure that it has is in 5 chapters. The strategic case to support why the scheme is needed and where is the need for investment. The economic case to demonstrate value for money across a number of impacts, not only in one element. The commercial case, so that it can achieve what it can within the budget and have a route to market. The financial case, that there is enough funds available, and the management case, so it can be delivered. Of the recent business cases I've worked, is been the B714 improvement scheme in Scotland, which is seeking fund from the Levelling Up fund, a very recent fund, which is looking into providing a holistic solution to what is a corridor study there. So for highway traffic, logistics, and also active modes.
That's great. So kind of covers quite a wide basis of different projects, doesn't it? It's not limited to just roads, but it can be across rail or pedestrian cycling projects too. Amy?
The different modes may potentially have different guidance around them. So, for example, Highways England has a slightly different rule book for their business cases. Network Rail have a slightly different rule book for their cases. But yeah, the 5 case approach, the DFT 5 case approach, kind of holds across all business cases normally.
Great. And what is the ultimate role within transport?
Well, the role of the business case in transport is first and most important of all is about securing funding for the scheme or the set of schemes to come ahead, is shaping solutions that are relevant to policy and wider government strategies. And it also acts as a document or an exercise that brings everything together just before the scheme goes on ground. Is doing the final checks. Is a tool to development and integrate the solution within what else is happening in the area. So it's offering this side element to the scheme development and implementation.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And within that, there's different types of business cases, aren't there? So what might those types be?
Yeah, so the DFT kind of guidance holds across all the different types of business cases, but within that you've got different sizes of business case. So for example, if you've got kind of a sub £5 million scheme, that's kind of relatively small in business case terms. So we'd expect to see a kind of a proportionate approach to the business case is the official way of saying it, I think. So it would be slightly lighter touch than normal. And then you've perhaps got business cases that are kind of 5 to 20 or 5 to 50 million pound range, where you'd expect the kind of full business case treatment. Then you've got kind of large scale schemes, kind of 50 million pound plus, where you would expect those to be kind of retained by DFT for oversight on those, and you'd expect to see almost like a business case plus on those, where it's not just the kind of business case guidance, there's kind of extensive kind of supporting information required around those. And then you've got your kind of different business case stages as they move through the process. So you've got at the very start of the process, you've got your strategic outline business case, where you're really just establishing the principles of the scheme there, and that's a very high level. And then as you move through your approvals gateways, you move to the outline business case, where you've got your preferred option in place. You would have all your economic appraisal and your strategic case all firmly in place. And then you would move to your full business case when the scheme is ready to be built, and you've got all your procurement and your commercial elements in place, and the scheme's ready to go.
So in terms of the projects that need business cases, Irineos, does every scheme need a business case, or how important is it to schemes such as the highway schemes you mentioned earlier?
In theory, each and every scheme will require a business case. However, as Amy just mentioned before, the requirement varies by the size of scheme. So if we're looking into some very few thousands pounds of a scheme, which is a pinch point scheme onto roundabout, or a change of traffic lights, or a small amendment into a rail station, a business case is a very simple exercise to put in words the need for the scheme, that the funds can be secured and it can have a route to the market easily. While you're moving towards bigger schemes, or wider policy implementations such as the clean air zones, you will need to submit business cases supported with modeling and economic appraisal, environmental appraisal, and clear route to market, ideally. So the requirement varies by the type of scheme.
Yeah, and I suppose in a way the business case brings a lot of different aspects together, like you mentioned. It brings together modeling, or different reporting in a way, doesn't it? Which would definitely make it vary by client a lot. In terms of business case reviewing, how does that work? And can you just tell us a bit more about the guidance on that, Amy?
I can, yeah. There's no specific guidance for reviewing business cases, but each of the kind of devolved environments who have a funding pot available to them will have developed an assurance framework, which essentially is the rule book for releasing the funds, and they'll have agreed that with the department where the funds have come from, so be that DFT or wherever. So our approach to reviewing, when we're reviewing business cases, we follow the framework that DFT have set out in their DFT transport business case guidance, and then we supplement that with the requirements from the relevant assurance framework. So in terms of the work we've done at SYSTRA, we review business cases, individual business cases, on an ad hoc basis. We've also reviewed entire programs for combined authorities or LEP organisations, where we kind of look across the whole programme at what's been funded, and each of the approaches that we've developed has been kind of bespoke to that particular client or their specific fund that they're looking at. And I think it's fair to say that as we've worked on business case reviews, we've kind of evolved our process to kind of learn from, kind of picking lessons that we've learned from other areas and kind of bringing them forward to kind of improve our approach as we've got more experienced at doing it, really. So we're learning all the time how to do this better, how to engage better with the scheme promoter, how to get better outcomes for our clients, how to help the program management by kind of smoothing the gateway processes for them through the review.
Great. So I expect it involves quite a deal of contact with each client, does it, to really understand what they need from it?
Yeah, there's there's kind of two sides to that, really, Tom. There is that engagement with the program manager, as it were, or the kind of, the purse holder, to make sure we understand what they're looking for. So different clients want different things for us. Some clients want us to make a recommendation. Some just want us to technically review the business case and tell them what technical elements are wrong or need improvement. So there's kind of different levels of input there required from us, and we can adapt our approach as to kind of what is required. So sometimes we would be, as business case reviewers, we would be presenting to the decision maker, to the LEP board or wherever, to present our findings, and sometimes we're just providing a very technical report on the kind of, on the business case, and passing that on to the client for them to make the decision about whether they feel it should be approved or not. But the other side of it is about engaging with the scheme promoter, and I think that's kind of one of the kind of really important things about this process, that you're kind of constructively engaging with the scheme promoter, because it's not a adversarial, it's not about being the examiner and having all the answers, and the scheme promoter being the naughty school child and doing their homework wrong. That's not what this is about. This is about trying to deliver the right program for the client. So we don't want to, and the client doesn't want the schemes to be held up through the review process. So the better we engage with the scheme promoter, the smoother that those gateway processes should hopefully be.
Absolutely. Best to keep everyone happy, isn't it? I think that's a really good way of putting it, with the naughty school child analogy. The funding of these business cases, Irineos, what impact does devolved funding have on the development and reviewing of these cases?
That's an interesting question there, Tom, because the devolved authorities and organizations had different structures and still have between them. So combined authorities, we see that they kind of developed an assurance department within the organization. So they have some institutional capacity to manage this assurance requirement. Others, especially LEPs, have less of an extended structure, and therefore the person responsible for the assurance exercise of the business case before they release the funding might be doing a lot of other things and is not necessarily business case focused. Therefore, the ability and knowledge in business cases varies between organizations, and this comes to what Amy described earlier, that we shape the review process and exercise depending on our client. I think we can proud ourselves, myself and Amy and SYSTRA wider, that we have passed business cases in all various ways. So we have supported clients that have the capacity to develop, but they don't have probably the full time. And we have supported clients that their knowledge of business cases is limited. So we have assured all kinds of business cases in that way.
Great, thanks, Irineos. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, and within that, what role do ITAs play?
Yeah, so the independent technical assurer, which is the role we take in the review process, we're there to provide effectively the right balance and proportionality, and in its own sense the transparency of the business case, because it's key that if a third person or the DFT come into the business case, can see that actually the development and the reviewing is clear in all aspects and they can follow through. It's also about understanding the pressures from various partners. So giving the right balance and the right attention where is needed. We've seen business cases which have an issue in their appraisal and modeling, but we have seen business cases which had issues in their deliverability and commercial cases, and we had to be a bit more firm on the requirements there. And also it's about these adding value to the process, because nevertheless we are consultants ourselves, and everything we do we should be adding value. So giving the right advice and helping the scheme promoter reduce abortive work is a key element as we see it in the independent technical assurer role we take.
Great. I think the point about added value is very important. That's the bottom line of it all, isn't it? Really, to provide a business case that does add value to it. That's brilliant. And yeah, just a final note on business case work we've done. I'm aware that you both held a workshop on business cases reviewing at the annual Transport Practitioners meeting. So what were the key outcomes of that, and was that an enjoyable experience, Irineos?
Yeah, so we've held a lunchtime workshop which was as interactive as it could in the virtual world we are now in. We had good representation from various local, regional and various devolved authorities on the session, which was good, and we have contributions from various of the people, and some of the key outcomes there is about shaping the right review process, which starts from the funding authority. It's about understanding the scheme promoter and the devolved authority ability to contribute to the technical side and help them on that requirement.
I think it also kind of our workshop fitted nicely with some of the presentations that were made earlier in the day around the kind of increasing prominence of the strategic case in business case development and business case review. I think perhaps in the past there's been a kind of a lot of weight placed on the economic case, and you kind of live or die by your economic case. But as we kind of move forward with the kind of updates to guidance, there's a move towards seeing the strategic case as being has been given more importance to perhaps what it has in the past. So that was kind of usefully brought out, I think, in our workshop.
Yes.
That's great. That's really good to hear. In which case, I think that gives us a pretty good coverage of what business case is. So that's great, both. Thank you for giving us that quick introduction to business cases. That's been really interesting. As a final question, which I like to ask people, is what are your plans for the weekend? Amy, I'll let you start.
Well, with the restrictions lifting, we are back into children's party season, so I'll be going to a children's party with my daughter. So, yeah, it should be fun.
Good stuff. Irineos, any parties for you?
Yes, the plan is for enjoying the outdoors in the weekend. Hopefully the weather will be good for us to do so.
Excellent. It's looking not too bad in London at least. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. Yeah, so thanks both for your time.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you.